Hi everyone, Tanya here from the Prosper Hub and Pam and Tanya's Deal Diaries. Um, as promised, we wanted to share with you what we've been talking about at various events that we run, i.e. the Crawley Property Meet and Win Kingston, all about GDPR for landlords. So I've nicked some slides here and also have something which I'm going to show you from the NLA. But first of all, I'll just go over an overview of what GDPR is and how it's going to affect landlords by using these slides. I will get rid of me in a moment. Um, and we'll just go through these slides very quickly, and then I'll show you what the National Landlords Association are issuing via their membership site, so that landlords can become compliant. So I'm just going to get rid of me. There we go. I think that should get rid of me. And let's have a quick look at this first slide. So what will GDPR, what is GDPR, and what is personal data? Basically, you and I are personal data subjects. Okay, we are a data subject if for other companies, and that means that if somebody is holding an address, a telephone number, an email address, they've got a picture of you, they know what you bought from them, all of that kind of stuff. That is data, and it can be paper data as well as digital data. So this is all encompassing, this new regulation. So, you know, as landlords, obviously, we're keeping an awful lot of information about our tenants. And if we're not keeping it and we've got a management company that are doing it, they need to be, you need to make sure that they are keeping hold of it under some sort of, under this regulation in the correct way. So you need to ask for their personal data policy. So that's one thing that you need to do. So write that down, because they need to have thought about how they're going to be securing and looking after your data about you and your tenants' data about, you know, because it can come and backfire on you if they lose it or do something silly with it. So you're a data subject, I'm a data subject, and your tenants are data subjects. And basically, this regulation is just highlighting all the different ways and making it important for us to really, really look after people's data. So next thing is, you know, what this data really includes. So this is just a slide about the overview. So it's your date of birth, it's email addresses, as I've said, it's general user data that's generally collected as a landlord. So, you know, if you think about how you to do referencing, you might be getting bank statements, you might be getting address details, you might be getting job salary details. You know, you've got their name, you've got everything. You know, it's serious stuff. That, you know, if that stuff goes missing, it's serious. Other stuff that is more sensitive is maybe about, you know, that obviously that we don't necessarily hold data on. But it's amazing what some of the tenants will tell you about. But you know, you just have to be aware that if there is, for any reason, you're holding some data about these things, then you just need to be uber careful with that. So obviously for us, as I've already said, our data subjects are our tenants and our customers, and also vendors and third parties, all sorts of things that we might hold on people. Basically, this is a little slide about you know what this all means. It's this regulation is coming into force on the 25th of May, so that's the end of the week. Dun, dun, dun. And it makes sure that you kind of look after people's data very, very, very carefully, and it increases the enforcement, um, what they can do basically. Anyone in the EU, if they any enforcement officer in the EU who wants to apply this GDPR, can come after us for quite a significant sum. It doesn't say it in this slide, but it's actually 20,000 euros, or up to 4% of your total worldwide turnover. So think about that. So if it's not, if you're 4% of your total worldwide turnover is less than 20,000 euros, they can ask you for 20,000 euros for every single breach. Okay, so if your whole database goes, then they can do you for it, basically, if they wanted to. Who knows how this is going to be enforced and who they're going to enforce it on, but we all just have to be a little bit careful. And if we at least show that we've tried to be compliant, then they'll, you know, I think they'll be more lenient. So it's probably going to come into UK law as well. But if you're working with anybody from the EU, you still need to be compliant. So for us in Crawley, we have to be compliant because a lot of our tenants are from the EU, and we may well be still using their Italian telephone number, for example, contacting them through WhatsApp and things like that. And failing to comply will risk your reputation. Um, the basic fundamentals are that you have to collect things lawfully, fairly, and transparently. So they need to know that you're collecting it. It can't just be done in secret. If you think about Cambridge Analytica, for example, um, and where people didn't realise what they were handing the information over for, only used for specific, explicit, and legitimate purposes, adequate and relevant, and limited to what is necessary. So you can't ask, I would suggest, you can't ask for their inside leg measurements, as part of your referencing. It has to be for a legitimate purpose. It has to be kept accurate and up to date. Can't be kept can't be kept for any length longer than necessary. So we're thinking probably for tenancy agreements a year after they've left is probably the maximum that we need it for. And obviously they've been making bank transfer payments into our bank, so we need to keep that for accountancy reasons. So that's going to be 7 to 8 years. So that's as long as that can be kept. Kept under appropriate security, technical, and the right technical measures have been taken in place. So that's kind of making sure that everything you've got is password protected, or that if you've got it as paper, it's locked in a cupboard somewhere, and handled by a data controller. That's the interesting one. You and I are now data controllers. If you didn't realise it, you now have another hat. So what you need to do, this is really important, you need to go onto this website. It's for the ICO, which is the Information Commission something or other, I think. And that's where we as data controllers all need to register. It's £35 this year. It's bound to go up, but it's something that has to be done on an annual basis. My feeling is this is an extra tax on everybody, and they're basically going to use it to go after the big boys for data breaches or for not following the regulations. But anyway, go on there. If you've got several businesses, but Pam and I are actually trying to find out about this. Is it us we're registering, or do we have to register every single business? So, for example, as a landlord, you could have your landlord business, you could have a business next to, there's all sorts of things that you might need to register. So we're just going to try and clarify that a bit. When we do, I'll probably put it onto deal diaries, just so as we all know. And you need to consider how you may handle the personal data. How are you keeping these files? Have you what kind of level of access to these systems could be available to hackers, for example? And you need to be ready to justify why you needed to collect and store the data. What the NLA have done is also they've given us a form which is basically a privacy policy document, and we need to make all of our tenants aware of what data we're keeping on them. Get rid of that. Sorry. Groupon, and we just need to be aware. They need to be aware. So we've downloaded a document from the NLA, and that is what I'm going to show you in a sec. And we've added some bits of information that I'll point out to you. And then once you've been registered with the ICO and you've told all your tenants what you're doing, and if you've got an agent who's working on your behalf, that they're doing this. You've got to make sure that they're doing this. And if they're not, you're going to ask them why and what their policy is and all of that kind of stuff, because it could come and backfire on you if you can't prove that you've done that and they've done what they've said they're going to do. Okay, so over to the NLA document. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. Here it is. So let me just move my little screen across and get to the pertinent details. So this is going to be our GDPR personal data policy. Basically, we haven't got the full title up there. So the NLA, by the way, if you go onto the NLA and you get the document off their membership site, it comes as a PDF, which is blooming irritating because you can't manipulate it. So I say, Pam has actually retyped this up, even with her broken elbow. I hasten to add, aren't I horrible? I'm such a slave driver. Anyway, she took this upon herself to type it up, and she um, has basically written up exactly what they've done, but then where there are spaces, we've had to put in the bit of information. So the most important bit of information, I'm going to zoom in on it, is the bit where it's where we've got these codes. So that is the information that we've got from the Office of Information Commissioner, which happens to be the ICO in our case. And when we signed up for our £35, we were given a certificate, um, and um, and we were given these codes basically. Um, so and we put them in there so as they know that we've been registered. And then what did we do? So we've also put in there our contact details. We haven't given them our address, so we've always they've got that as part of their contract anyway. And then this is all about how we collect and what information we collect. It feels really heavy-handed and a little bit OTT, but at least it makes us compliant. And if anyone asks, we can say we are compliant. And there's a few typos in there which we've got to sort out. So what we've decided we're going to do is that our current tenants are all going to be asked to sign this document, to prove that they've seen it. We're going to in each of our houses we've got what we call the yellow file, which is the house file, which has got pertinent information in there like the EPC and the gas safety certificate and things like that. And we're going to put a copy of this in that. And when we sign in new tenants, where we've got our tenant checklist, where we say we have shown, where they tick a box and they say they have seen the EPC, that they have seen the gas safety certificate and all that kind of stuff. We're going to add an extra little tick box, and we were going to go through the process of showing them this document, so they know what we're doing and why we're doing it. Okay, so we think that should make us compliant. We might go as far as making it a bit more, using some of our technological expertise and putting it onto on something online or something like that. But for the time being, we're going to make it a paper document and make sure that they all get to see it and that we've got proof that they've seen it. So that's about it, I'm afraid. So if you've got any questions, just tell us, ask us, and we'll see if we can help. We're obviously not legal beagles here. This is what we're picking up along the way. And, if you've got any advice, actually, if there's anyone out there who wants to tell us more, then we'd be very grateful to hear it. Anyway, bye for now.